Alright guys, I hope you're all alright. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing another review and today I'm going to be reviewing Thor. So like always, I'll be going over the 4 points that I usually cover. So the hero, the villain, the visuals and the soundtrack of the film. I'll be scoring each one of them out of 5 and then in the end I will get a total score out of 20. So let's start with the hero of the film, so Chris Hemsworth's Thor. I actually really enjoyed this character in the film. I think he's got some great character development, similar to how Iron Man did in the first Iron Man film. So at the beginning of the film, obviously we see Thor in Asgard, and he's really arrogant. He's so like selfish. He only cares about being the king and like looking like a proper heroic and brave hero type of thing. Like not even hero, just like he wants to be the strongest and he wants to be the king and he wants to show like nobody can step on their toes and everything like that. Nobody should ever attack Asgard and everything like that. But when we come around to the end of the film, he's the complete opposite. Like he's probably still a bit arrogant because I mean it's Chris Hemsworth. I think if I was Chris Hemsworth, I would probably be arrogant as well. Oh, God. That's what else makes him such a great hero. It's just I'm sorry, but it's Chris Hemsworth. He's so fit. Um, the blonde eyebrows though, that's a bit of a strange one, but he's still good looking with them. But just better when you know they're a bit darker. Anyway, that's besides the point. Sorry, went on a bit of a ramble there. So yeah, at the end of the film, we see he's completely selfless and like he sacrifices himself, even though he could die, to fight the destroyer and to stop Loki. And obviously, that's when he becomes worthy again. But yeah, that just shows that he's completely made a transformation and gone from completely selfish to selfless and willing to sacrifice himself. Also, at the end of the film, we see he says to his dad he doesn't want to be king anymore, and I think it really humanises his character throughout this film because he's obviously a god, but I think he's humanised quite a lot, which is something they do later on in Endgame as well. And yeah, I really like the fact that he really respects his dad and like Odin as a king, but he doesn't suck up to him. He doesn't arse lick him. He's like, I really respect your dad, but like my decisions are going to be my decisions. I don't want to just follow what you want me to do. Like he doesn't want to be king anymore. He'd rather be on Earth with Jane, and his dad doesn't like him doing that. But I like the fact that he's like that. He doesn't just suck up to Odin's ass. He's his own person. He's not just there to get the approval of his father. Whereas at the beginning of the film, he's very much like that. That's why he attacks Jotunheim, even though his dad said not to. He thought his dad would appreciate it after, which he obviously didn't. So when you look at it, he's actually got great character development in this film. I'd say the only thing I'd want a bit more of is him and his dad, a little bit more like interaction between them. I mean, we see Odin banish him, but other than that, we don't really see him that much on Asgard. So I would have liked to see him on Asgard and with his mates a bit more. But overall, I think he's got a great character arc in this film. So for that reason, I'm going to give Thor a 4 out of 5 for the hero part of this film. So now we move over to the villain of the film, which is Loki, the probably one of the best villains of the MCU. But is he a villain? Is he an anti-hero? It's hard to say. But in this film, he's definitely a villain, and I think he's absolutely great. He definitely gets better as we move on in the MCU and we see him turn more towards the side of good. But in this film, he's exceptional. I think he's a great villain. Like, first of all, he's really like I think it's really easy to understand why he sort of turns because it's not relatable, but like you do feel sorry for him because you see them as boys and you see like it's not just him who's competitive, it's very much Thor as well. Like Thor even says like when I'm king and he like looks at Loki as if to say like listen bitch, I'm going to be king, not you. So Thor's very competitive with Loki. It's not just Loki competing with Thor. And like Loki, you do feel really bad because if you've been brought up your whole life feeling undermined and then you realize the reason is because you're not really the son of like Odin and Frigga, especially when he's got a great relationship with Frigga. That would be absolutely heartbreaking. And then to find out that your dad only adopted you or like stole you because he wanted to make an alliance and make his life easier. That would be absolutely heartbreaking. So I understand where he's coming from. I mean, I think one problem is he does turn evil a little bit too quickly, but you understand his character and you do feel bad for him. I also think it's good because a lot of the times in the MCU we just get like a carbon copy of the hero. So you've got like a character who's like Ironmonger in the first Iron Man, just a carbon copy, just an evil version of Iron Man, and wears the Iron Man armor, well, Ironmonger armor. Whereas in this, I think Loki and Thor are like complete binary oppositions, they're completely different. I think that makes for a really good story because we see with Thor, he respects his father, but he doesn't need to suck up to him. Whereas Loki is a proper arse licker. Like he's just wants his dad's approval. That's all he wants. He just wants people to love him, and nobody does. And it shows that when you are needy and like you want stuff like that, it's probably not going to happen. But another great thing is so in the other films we know the hero and the villain are obviously very similar, but it's fun to see Loki in this because his power set is very different from Thor's. He's, a manipulator and he uses magic and sorcery. He's not like a brute like Thor. He doesn't have brute strength and great fighting skill. He uses his manipulation and more of his mind to fight Thor, which is something I really like because you never know how the battle's going to turn out because obviously brute strength is great, but tactics and manipulation of the mind is also very dangerous. So with it, I never really thought like, oh, Thor's definitely going to come out on top here, or oh, Loki's definitely going to come out on top here. It was a bit like of a gamble who was going to win. So I think that's a really good part of the character as well. The only thing I'd want a little bit more of is in Thor: The Dark World. They obviously establish him and Frigga are very close. So I think it would have been nice to maybe see a bit more time of him and his mother, him and Frigga, and like how maybe when he was younger she kind of like treat him a bit better than Odin. I think that would have been really nice. But overall, I think he's an amazing villain. So the same as the hero, I'm going to give the villain in this film a 4 out of 5. So now we move into the visuals of the film, and I actually think this probably has the best visuals out of all the films I've reviewed so far in Phase One. So out of Iron Man 2, and The Incredible Hulk, I'd say this one definitely has the best visuals. So at the beginning, we get some lovely crane shots and like tracking shots as well, coming up through the water and into Asgard, and that's really good because it basically makes you feel like as you're looking over Asgard, you kind of feel like you're flying up and over. So it kind of makes you feel like you're there flying and like similar to an angel, which I think is great because obviously Asgard is like the gods and heavenly. So I think that really makes sense and I really enjoyed that aspect to it. Also the colour palettes in Asgard are absolutely stunning. So you've got all the golden colour palettes and it's just like a beautiful palace the way it's built, but it's mainly the golden colour palettes and it makes you feel like not on holiday but like luxury and gods and heaven and just like so precious and stuff like that. Which obviously it is because it's a kingdom. It is just absolutely stunning. So that's all really good. And also the colours they utilise in, well, not just Asgard, the Bifrost. I think the combination of colours is really good because there's like so many of them and it seems quite cosmic because you've got flashes of colours, but then it's dark around the Bifrost. So all them colours, it makes it seems a bit like space like, which I quite enjoyed as well because Thor, he's not really space, but it's different realms, so it kind of hints at that like it's not earthly and it is a bit mystical in that aspect and things like that. So I like the colours of the Bifrost as well. Also the positioning and camera angles they use in this film's really good. So every time we see Odin, he has always got a higher eye line than anybody he speaks to. Even Thor, when Thor's powerful, Odin tends to have the higher eye line, showing that he is the all-powerful Odin and he is the king. So even though Thor's powerful and everybody else is powerful, he is like top dog. Also, Frigga. A lot of women in films we don't really see with high eye lines or positioned on the left of the frame. But whenever we see Frigga, she's actually got a high eye line and she's on the left of the frame. So that's the dominant side. So again, that just shows that she is a very powerful queen as well, and she's highly respected. So I like that as well. Loki, whenever he's manipulating Thor, it's really clever what they do. So if he's not manipulating Thor, he's usually got a lower eye line and he's on the right hand side of the frame. But whenever he's manipulating Thor, he's got a higher eye line and he's always on the left hand side of the frame. So it's really interesting to show that, like, when Loki is being manipulative of Thor, he is like in charge. So I thought that was really cool how they implemented that into the film. And as well, when Loki's on the throne in Asgard, there's so many like canted angles, which is really good because it's basically just suggesting, like when you're watching it, you're a bit like, oh God, what's going on here? And it like disorientates you a little bit. But again, that just shows you're meant to feel uneasy and you're meant to feel disoriented and like a bit of an imbalance, being like, he shouldn't be on this throne. It's all in like imbalanced and it's not good. It's all going to be very chaotic. So that's absolutely excellent as well. I could go on like a bit more because there are some great visuals in this film. The only downside to the visuals is a lot of the action is shot very dark because it's either at night or it's on Jotunheim, and that's like a dark planet, or not planet, realm. So yeah, it's a bit hard to see the action sometimes because it is so dark. But that's the only negative I really have of the film. So the positives completely outweighed the negatives. So for that reason, I'm going to give the visuals of this film a 4 out of 5. So, lastly, we have the soundtrack of the film, and I don't really have much to say about this. I kind of struggle a lot of the times analysing like the sound of the films. I'm better with the visuals because that's, I think I'm just more of a visual person. So the soundtrack in this film, not going to lie, it's very generic, and there was nothing in it that really stood out to us. I was a bit like, it sets the pace for the action or like what's about to happen. You can anticipate based on the music, but it's very generic and nothing really stands out. But it does have the signature Asgardian theme to it, which we see later on in the MCU. So I liked the introduction of that, and it does seem very like, is it majestic, the word? I don't know if it's majestic or heroic and brave, but it kind of seems a bit like mythical, the music. So I like that because it matches with Asgard and it being like a heaven basically. So I do like the introduction to that, but that is the only interesting or appealing thing about the soundtrack in my opinion. So there's not really much to say about it, and overall I'll give the soundtrack a 2 out of 5. So that's going to wrap it up. And overall, this film actually got a 15 out of 20. So out of Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, and this one, this is actually ranked the highest. That's probably going to be quite controversial because I know a lot of people don't really like this film and loads of people love the first Iron Man film. Don't get me wrong, I do love that film and I love this film as well. If it was based on story and like pacing, I think I would say I prefer Iron Man a bit more. This film, in my opinion, the story is very good, but I think the pacing's a bit strange and it does seem slow at certain times. And there's a few points where I'm like, oh, I just want to be back on Asgard. I don't really want to be on Earth. With these like with Jane and that, I think they throw it down quite a lot. So if it was just based on rewatchability and like story and pacing, I'd probably choose to watch Iron Man, and I'd say I prefer that movie a bit more. But based on the hero, the villain, the visuals, and the soundtrack, this actually ranks the highest. But that's just my opinion and my thoughts. So I'd love to know all of your thoughts in the comments below. I'll put my Instagram link in the description as well because I do a daily watch list and daily Marvel movie reviews, or not MCU, but like any films based on Marvel characters basically. And sometimes I ask questions about what types of videos you'd like to see. So yeah, if you could like this video and consider subscribing to my channel, that would be great. And like always, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all in the next one.